Good evening. Welcome back to Cozy Night Tales. Tonight, we will leave the quiet moon garden behind. A peaceful journey is waiting high above the sleeping world. Take a slow and gentle breath. Let your shoulders grow soft. Let your thoughts become light. There is nowhere else you need to be. There is nothing you need to do. Tonight, we will simply walk together. The moon garden is quiet now. The silver flowers still shine beneath the gentle moon. Their glowing petals move slowly in the cool night breeze. The little streams continue their peaceful song. The old willow trees sway with quiet grace. Every flower seems to be resting. Every leaf seems to be dreaming. You stand upon the soft garden path. For a moment, you simply look around. The garden has become familiar. It welcomed you with gentle light. It shared its peaceful beauty. Now it offers one final gift. A tiny flower near the path begins to glow. Its light is small. Its light is warm. Its light is steady. You kneel beside the flower. Its petals slowly open beneath the moonlight. Resting inside is a tiny silver seed. It shines like a little star. The breeze gently touches the flower. The seed slowly rises into the air. It does not hurry. It simply floats, as though it has all the time in the world. You watch without speaking. The tiny light drifts higher. The wind carries it softly above the garden. It pauses for a moment, almost as if it is waiting for you. You smile. Then you quietly begin to follow. Your footsteps are slow. The path beneath your feet feels warm. The grass is cool with evening dew. The scent of fresh flowers fills the peaceful air. Some blossoms smell sweet like honey. Others carry the fresh scent of rain. A quiet breeze brings them all together. It feels like breathing in a gentle dream. The seed continues ahead. Its silver glow never becomes brighter. It never becomes dimmer. It simply remains calm. A quiet guide beneath the stars. The garden path slowly changes. Soft grass becomes smooth white stones. Each stone reflects the moonlight. Each one looks carefully placed, almost as though someone built this path long ago. The stones make no sound beneath your feet. Everything remains peaceful. Above you, the night sky stretches farther than ever before. Thousands of stars sparkle quietly. Some shine with soft blue light. Some glow with warm gold. Some are so distant that they appear like tiny drops of silver dust. The moon watches over them all. Large white clouds drift slowly across the sky. They move so gently that they almost seem asleep. One cloud curls into the shape of a swan. Another looks like a tiny boat. Another stretches like a long ribbon floating across the heavens. You continue walking. The seed floats onward. The breeze grows cooler. It brushes softly against your face. Your breathing becomes slower. Your steps become lighter. Soon, the flowers begin to grow farther apart. The trees become fewer. The quiet streams disappear behind you. Ahead, the path reaches a wide open hill. You stop for a moment. From here, the entire moon garden rests below. Its silver flowers glow like scattered stars upon the earth. The little streams sparkle beneath the moon. The willow trees stand peacefully together. Everything looks calm. Everything looks safe. You quietly thank the garden for welcoming you. Perhaps one day you will return. Perhaps the flowers will still remember your footsteps. The silver seed continues rising. As you watch, something wonderful begins to happen. A small cloud slowly drifts downward. It floats toward the top of the hill. Instead of passing overhead, it gently settles before you. It is bright white. Its edges glow with silver moonlight. The cloud seems almost solid. The tiny seed lands softly upon it. For one peaceful moment, nothing happens. Then another cloud appears. It settles just above the first. Then another. Then another. Each cloud arrives quietly. Each one waits patiently. Soon they form a beautiful stairway, reaching into the night sky. You have never seen anything like it. Yet it feels strangely familiar, as though this stairway has always been waiting for you. You step onto the first cloud. It is softer than fresh snow. Yet it gently supports your feet. It does not sink. It does not move. It welcomes every careful step. The second cloud waits above. Then the third. You continue climbing. Slowly. Peacefully. The cool breeze follows beside you. Far below, the hill begins to grow smaller. The moon garden becomes a quiet circle of silver light. Its flowers now look like tiny stars resting upon the earth. You pause for a gentle breath. The air feels different here. It is fresh. It is cool. It carries the clean scent of clouds after gentle rain. There is also another scent. It is warm. It reminds you of old books resting inside a quiet room. You smile softly. You do not know why such a scent has found its way into the sky, but somehow it feels welcoming. The silver seed floats onward. It always remains just ahead, never too far away, never too close. The stairway begins to curve through the clouds. The world grows quieter with every step. Even the breeze seems to whisper now. You look upward. The stars appear closer than before. Some seem close enough to touch. They sparkle gently above your path, not with bright light, but with the soft glow of peaceful dreams. A family of tiny glowing birds glides silently across the sky. Their feathers shine like moonlight upon calm water. They never flap their wings quickly. Instead, they float upon the night breeze. One bird circles gently above you. Then it quietly continues its journey toward the distant horizon. You watch until it becomes another little star in the endless sky. The clouds around you slowly change shape. Some become gentle hills. Some become quiet valleys. Some stretch into soft bridges, connecting one piece of sky to another. Every step reveals another peaceful view. Every breath feels slower than the last. It is almost as though time itself has decided to rest. You begin to notice tiny lanterns floating between the clouds. Each lantern glows with warm golden light. They sway gently with the breeze. No one seems to have placed them there. Perhaps they simply appear whenever someone is following the path with a peaceful heart. Their gentle light mixes with the silver moonlight. Warm gold and cool silver dance together across the clouds. The sight is calm. The sight is beautiful. The sight makes your eyes feel pleasantly heavy. You continue walking without hurry. There is no need to rush. The night is patient. The sky is patient. And somewhere ahead, beyond the quiet clouds, a place filled with gentle stories is waiting for you. The silver seed continued to drift through the quiet sky. Its gentle light never hurried. It simply invited you to keep walking. The floating lanterns slowly became more numerous. Some rested close beside the cloud path. Others drifted far above your head. Each one glowed with a warm golden light. They swayed gently, as though breathing with the night. You wondered who had lit them. The night offered no answer. It only wrapped you in peaceful silence. You continued climbing. The clouds beneath your feet became softer. Each step felt lighter than the one before. The air was fresh. It carried the clean scent of mist. It also carried the comforting smell of old paper. The fragrance was gentle. It reminded you of stories read beside a warm fire on quiet evenings. A soft breeze brushed across your hands. It felt cool, but it was never cold. It felt kind. The sky around you slowly opened into a wide sea of clouds. Rolling white clouds stretched farther than your eyes could see. Their soft shapes rose and fell like peaceful waves. The moonlight painted silver rivers across their gentle surface. Far away, small cloud islands floated quietly. Each one carried something different. One held a single flowering tree. Its white blossoms shimmered beneath the stars. Another held a tiny stone bench. A warm lantern rested beside it. The little island looked like a peaceful place where travelers could quietly rest. Another island held nothing at all. Only soft grass made of clouds. It seemed perfectly complete just as it was. The silver seed continued onward. You followed without question. There was comfort in not knowing exactly where the path would lead. Sometimes the most peaceful journeys asked for nothing more than a single gentle step. You looked upward once again. The stars felt closer than ever before. Some sparkled with cool silver light. Others glowed with soft shades of gold. One bright star slowly crossed the sky. It moved so gently that it looked less like a falling star and more like a quiet traveler on its own peaceful journey. You smiled as it disappeared beyond the clouds. The cloud stairway slowly became wider. There was now enough space to walk without thinking about each careful step. The clouds beneath you were smooth. Their surface glowed softly beneath the moon. Tiny silver flowers began to appear beside the path. Their petals were almost transparent. They gently opened whenever the breeze touched them. When the wind became still, the flowers quietly closed again. They seemed to breathe with the night. You paused to admire them. One tiny flower released a small glowing petal. The petal floated into the air. Soon another flower did the same. Then another. Before long, dozens of glowing petals danced peacefully around you. None of them rushed. They simply drifted wherever the breeze wished to carry them. The silver seed floated through the middle of the glowing petals. For a moment, it almost disappeared among their gentle light. The path curved gently toward the east. The moon now rested slightly behind you. Its silver light stretched across the clouds like a quiet ribbon. Ahead, the sky grew deeper. The stars became brighter. The silence became even softer. You noticed something shining in the distance. At first, it looked like another bright star. Then it became larger. Little by little, its shape became clear. Tall towers slowly appeared above the clouds. Their rooftops shimmered beneath the moonlight. Large windows glowed with warm golden light. Gentle bridges connected one tower to another. Soft clouds drifted around every roof. The building did not seem to stand upon the clouds. Instead, it seemed to grow naturally from them, as though the sky itself had carefully built this peaceful place. You stopped walking for a quiet moment. The view before you filled your heart with calm wonder. The silver seed circled gently above your head. It was almost as though it wished to give you time to admire what lay ahead. A long pathway of smooth white clouds now stretched toward the distant building. Golden lanterns stood along both sides. Their warm light welcomed every slow step. There were no walls. There were no gates. Only open sky. Only quiet clouds. Only endless peace. You began walking once again. Every step brought the great building closer. Its windows reflected the stars. Its towers reached gently toward the moon. The breeze carried the faint sound of turning pages. The sound was almost impossible to hear. Soft, slow, comforting, as though someone far away was carefully closing a beloved book. The scent of old paper became richer now. It mixed with the fresh fragrance of clouds after gentle rain. Together, they created a feeling that was both new and strangely familiar. You felt as though you had visited this place long ago in a forgotten dream. Small birds with snowy white feathers rested you and the lantern posts. They watched the quiet sky with peaceful eyes. When you passed, they gave gentle little chirps. Their voices were soft enough to blend with the breeze. None of them flew away. They simply returned to their quiet rest. The silver seed finally began to slow. It drifted toward a broad circle of clouds. At its center stood a beautiful stone fountain. Instead of water, tiny lights flowed gently from its heart. Each light rose into the air before becoming another distant star. You stood beside the fountain. Its gentle glow reflected across the peaceful clouds. You closed your eyes for a single slow breath. The quiet seemed even deeper here. When you opened them again, the silver seed gave one final warm glow. Then, very gently, it settled into the center of the fountain. Its light became one with all the others. It had completed its journey. You looked ahead. The great building now stood clearly before you. Its walls were as white as moonlit clouds. Its tall windows glowed like hundreds of welcoming lanterns. Above the entrance, silver vines climbed graceful arches. Tiny flowers bloomed among the leaves. Their petals shimmered beneath the stars. Everything felt calm. Everything felt warm. Everything felt ready. You knew, without anyone needing to tell you, that this peaceful place was the Cloud Library. Many quiet stories were waiting beyond its welcoming doors. And together, we would soon step inside. The quiet fountain remained behind you. Its gentle lights continued to rise into the peaceful night. Each tiny light floated upward. Each one became another distant star. You stood for a moment. The silence felt warm. It wrapped around you like a soft blanket. Ahead, the Cloud Library waited with quiet patience. Its tall towers rested among the drifting clouds. Its windows glowed with a warm golden light. They reminded you of welcoming lanterns shining through the windows of a peaceful home. You began walking once more. The cloud path beneath your feet was smooth. It seemed brighter than before. Tiny threads of silver light ran gently across its surface. They shimmered beneath every careful step. The breeze became softer. It carried the fresh scent of clouds. It carried the gentle fragrance of blooming flowers. And now the comforting smell of old books became even stronger. It was a peaceful scent, a familiar scent, the kind that invited you to slow down, the kind that reminded you that every story was willing to wait. There was never any need to hurry. The golden lanterns beside the path glowed quietly. Their warm light mixed beautifully with the silver moonlight. Gold and silver rested together. Neither one was brighter than the other. Together, they filled the clouds with gentle colors. The library slowly grew larger. Its graceful towers reached peacefully toward the stars. Soft vines climbed along white stone walls. Their leaves shimmered with pale silver light. Tiny flowers bloomed between the vines. Some glowed softly like little moons. Others shined with a warm golden color. A few sparkling petals drifted through the air. They floated beside you before quietly disappearing into the night. The entrance now stood clearly before you. Two great doors rested beneath a wide arch of white stone. The doors were made of warm golden wood. Their surface reflected the lantern light with a gentle glow. Beautiful carvings covered every part of the wood. You stepped closer. The carvings were not of kings or castles. They showed peaceful things. Trees reaching toward the moon. Birds resting upon quiet branches. Clouds floating across the night sky. A sleeping fox beneath wildflowers. A little stream winding through a silent forest. A lantern hanging beside a tiny bridge. Every carving seemed to tell a peaceful story without using a single word. You slowly reached out your hand. Your fingertips rested upon the smooth wood. It felt warm, almost as though the library had been waiting for someone to arrive. Above the doorway hung several tiny silver bells. The breeze gently touched them. They answered with the softest sound. Not loud, not sharp, only a delicate note that faded almost as soon as it appeared. The sound reminded you of distant stars singing to one another. You listened until the silence returned. The quiet somehow felt even deeper afterward. Beside the doorway stood two lanterns. Their flames did not move, even when the breeze passed by. Their light remained perfectly calm. You smiled. Everything here seemed to breathe at its own peaceful rhythm. You noticed that the vines around the entrance were gently moving. Not because of the wind. They slowly made room around the doorway, as though quietly welcoming every traveler who arrived with a gentle heart. The great doors opened by themselves. They moved without the smallest sound. No creaking wood. No heavy footsteps. Only silence. A warm golden light flowed softly through the doorway. It spilled across the clouds like morning sunlight resting upon still water. You stepped inside. The air felt wonderfully calm. It was neither cool nor warm. It felt perfectly comfortable. You took a slow breath. The scent of old books surrounded you. There was also the fragrance of cedar wood, a little lavender, a hint of fresh rain. Together, they created a feeling of complete peace. Rows of tall shelves stretched into the distance. Each shelf was carved from smooth white wood. Tiny golden lights rested along every row. They glowed gently without flickering. Thousands of books waited quietly. Some were large. Some were very small. Some had silver covers. Some shimmered with soft blue light. Others looked as though they had been wrapped in clouds themselves. None of the books seemed forgotten. Each one rested peacefully. Each one waited patiently for the right moment. Above the shelves floated little lights. At first you thought they were stars. Then you noticed they moved gently from one shelf to another, like tiny fireflies. Whenever one floated near a book, the cover glowed for a single peaceful moment. Then the little light drifted away again. The ceiling stretched far above you. It was impossible to see where it ended. Instead of stone, the ceiling looked like the night sky itself. Stars sparkled quietly overhead. Soft clouds drifted between them. The moon would still be seen through the gentle mist. It felt as though the entire sky had become part of the library. Your footsteps made almost no sound. The floor beneath you was polished white stone. Silver lines flowed gently through it like quiet streams. As you walked, the lines glowed softly beneath your feet. Then they slowly faded again. Nothing here wished to draw attention. Everything simply welcomed you. You paused beside the nearest bookshelf. One small book caught your eye. Its cover was pale blue. A single silver flower was pressed gently into the leather. You reached toward it. Before your fingers touched the book, a quiet flutter echoed somewhere nearby. You turned slowly. High above the shelves, a beautiful white owl rested upon an old wooden ladder. Its feathers were bright beneath the lantern light. Its large eyes reflected the stars above. The owl watched you peacefully. There was no fear in its gaze. Only kindness. Only quiet wisdom. For a long moment, neither of you moved. Then the owl gave the smallest bow. It spread its wings without making a sound. Slowly, gracefully, it glided through the warm golden light. It circled once above the library. Then it landed upon the railing of a nearby balcony. The owl looked toward one quiet hallway. Then it looked back at you. It did not speak. It did not need to. Its gentle eyes seemed to offer a simple invitation. There were many stories waiting. And somewhere beyond those peaceful shelves, the next chapter of your journey was ready to begin. With a calm smile, you followed the owl deeper into the quiet heart of the Cloud Library. The white owl waited quietly upon the wooden railing. Its soft feathers glowed beneath the golden lanterns. When you stepped closer, it gently spread its wings. Without making a sound, it glided farther into the library. You followed at an easy pace. There was no need to hurry. The owl never flew too far ahead. It always remained within sight, as though it wished to make sure you never felt alone. The hallway slowly opened into a much larger room. You stopped for a quiet moment before you stretched the grandest library you had ever imagined. Bookshelves rose like peaceful forests. They reached higher and higher until they disappeared into drifting clouds. Some shelves were carved from warm cedar wood. Others shimmered with smooth white stone. A few seemed to be shaped from polished moonlight itself. Every shelf was perfectly cared for. Not a single book rested out of place. Golden lanterns floated gently through the open space. They drifted without strings, without chains. Their warm light settled softly across every book. Between the shelves, wide cloud paths curved like gentle rivers. Instead of walls, there were open spaces where the night sky could still be seen. Stars twinkled beyond the clouds. The moon smiled through wide arching windows. A cool breeze wandered quietly through the library. It carried the scent of paper, fresh wood, soft lavender, and rain that had fallen long ago. The breeze gently turned a few waiting pages. The sound was almost too soft to hear. It was like leaves whispering in a peaceful forest. You continued walking. The owl landed upon the end of a nearby bookshelf. It patiently waited again. As you approached, you noticed tiny golden letters glowing upon the shelves. Each section carried a simple name: gardens, clouds, rivers, mountains, stars, rain, wind, moonlight, bird song, quiet evenings. Every shelf seemed to hold memories instead of stories. You wondered how many books rested inside this magical place. Then you looked upward. The shelves continued into the clouds, far beyond where your eyes could follow. Perhaps there was no end. Perhaps new shelves quietly appeared whenever another peaceful story was ready to be told. The thought made you smile. Some books were no larger than your hand. Others were tall enough to reach your shoulder. A few were so wide they rested upon little wooden stands. None of them looked old. None of them looked new. Time seemed to rest differently inside the cloud library. A gentle glow appeared beside one shelf. Tiny lights floated out from between the books. They gathered together like little stars. Slowly, they drifted across the room. One by one, they disappeared into another bookshelf nearby. Almost as though they were delivering quiet dreams from one story to another. The owl watched them pass. It closed its eyes for a peaceful moment. Then it opened them again. Everything here seemed wonderfully familiar to the little guardian. You reached one long balcony. Beyond it stretched an endless sea of clouds. The library did not end with its walls. Small reading rooms floated upon nearby cloud islands. Each island was connected by graceful white bridges. Some bridges curved gently. Others were perfectly straight. Every one of them looked safe. Everyone invited slow footsteps. A single traveler sat upon one distant island, wrapped inside a warm blanket, reading quietly beneath a lantern. From where you stood, you could not see their face. They seemed content, simply enjoying the peaceful night. The owl continued onward. You crossed the first white bridge. Clouds drifted slowly beneath your feet. Looking down did not feel frightening. The clouds looked soft enough to hold every dream in the world. The bridge carried you to another circle of bookshelves. These shelves were different. Instead of standing upon the floor, they floated gently in the air. Each shelf moved so slowly that it was almost impossible to notice. They circled one another like quiet planets around a gentle sun. Little ladders floated beside them. Whenever someone wished to reach a higher book, the nearest ladder quietly drifted into place. You watched one ladder move by itself. It stopped beside a glowing blue book. Then it patiently waited. Everything inside the library seemed thoughtful. Everything seemed kind. Nothing happened suddenly. Nothing disturbed the peaceful silence. A nearby clock quietly caught your attention. Its face was carved from pale moonstone. Instead of numbers, 12 tiny stars circled its edge. The hands moved very slowly. So slowly that you could hardly see them. Perhaps they measured peaceful moments instead of ordinary time. Perhaps no one here worried about hours at all. The owl gave a soft flutter of its wings. It landed beside a beautiful wooden table. The table held only one object: a large map. You stepped closer. The map was unlike any map you had seen before. There were no countries, no cities, no roads. Instead, it showed peaceful places. It's the moon garden, the lighthouse that guided lost dreams. It's the quiet river, it's the valley of gentle rain, the silent harbor, the house of morning stars. Each place glowed with its own gentle light. Thin silver paths connected them across the page. Your eyes wandered farther. Near the upper corner rested another name: the Star Collector. It shimmered softly, almost as though it had not yet fully awakened. The owl gently touched the map with the tip of its wing. Then it looked toward you. Its eyes carried a quiet smile. Without speaking a single word, It reminded you that every peaceful journey was connected. Every gentle place belonged to the same beautiful world. No story truly ended. Each one simply became another quiet path leading onward. A warm breeze drifted through the open windows. The pages of nearby books turned together. Not quickly, only one page at a time, as though the library itself were breathing slowly in its sleep. You listened. You smiled. And somewhere beyond the endless shelves, another gentle story was already waiting to be discovered. The white owl remained beside the great map. Its quiet eyes reflected the warm lantern light. For a little while, neither of you moved. There was no need for words. The silence felt complete. The owl gave a gentle nod. Then it spread its wings once more. With slow and graceful movements, it glided deeper into the library. You followed without hurry. The great bookshelves slowly became smaller. The wide reading halls gave way to peaceful corridors. The lanterns here hung a little lower. Their golden light felt even warmer. The floor beneath your feet changed from smooth white stone to polished wood. It gave off the comforting scent of cedar. Each careful step brought a soft feeling of welcome. The hallway curved gently. It seemed to follow no straight line. Instead, it flowed like a quiet stream through the heart of the library. Small windows rested along one side. Beyond them, silver clouds drifted peacefully beneath the moon. Sometimes a star passed by. Sometimes only soft mist floated across the glass. The owl slowed its flight. It landed upon a round wooden stand. Resting, there was a pair of tiny spectacles. The owl lowered its head. With great care, it slipped the little spectacles onto its beak. You smiled softly. The simple gesture made the library feel even more alive. The owl looked toward you again. Its eyes seemed brighter behind the small round lenses. It gave another gentle nod, as though introducing itself, not with a name, but with kindness. Beside the stand rested a large wooden desk. The desk had been polished smooth by many quiet years. Its edges were rounded. Its surface glowed softly beneath the lantern light. There were no piles of paper, no scattered books. Everything rested neatly in its place. A single feather pen lay beside a small silver bottle of ink. The ink shimmered gently. It looked almost like liquid moonlight. Nearby rested a stack of tiny cards. Each one carried elegant silver writing. You picked up the top card. It felt wonderfully light. The words upon it slowly appeared as you looked. Tonight, may your heart grow peaceful. May your thoughts become gentle. May your dreams find their way home. You smiled. The letters slowly faded again. The card became blank once more. Perhaps the message had already found its reader. The owl quietly opened a small wooden drawer. Inside rested hundreds of tiny silver keys. Each key looked slightly different. Some were shaped like leaves. Others resembled stars. A few looked like little feathers. The owl carefully chose one small key, shaped like a crescent moon. It carried the key gently in its beak. Then it looked toward a nearby bookshelf. At first, it seemed like every other shelf. Tall, peaceful, filled with beautiful books. But as you stepped closer, you noticed something hidden between the shelves. A tiny door. It was no taller than your shoulder. Its frame was carved with climbing vines. Little silver flowers bloomed across the wood. The owl placed the moon-shaped key into the lock. The lock gave the softest little click. The door slowly opened. Behind it was not another room. Instead, a small staircase curved gently upward. A soft golden light drifted down the steps. The owl waited at the bottom, as though politely inviting you to climb first. You began the slow ascent. The wooden steps made almost no sound. Each one felt warm beneath your feet. The air became lighter. The scent of cedar slowly blended with fresh lavender. By the time you reached the top, the fragrance was wonderfully calming. The staircase opened into a small circular room. It was unlike any room you had seen before. There were no towering shelves, no grand balconies, only a quiet space filled with gentle light. Round windows surrounded the room. Through every window, a different part of the night sky could be seen. One looked toward the moon garden. Its silver flowers glowed far below. Another looked across endless clouds. A third revealed distant mountains sleeping beneath the stars. The owl quietly flew to a low bookshelf. Only 7 books rested there. Each one wore a different colored cover. Silver, blue, green, gold, white, deep violet, soft gray. The owl carefully touched the silver book with one wing. The book lifted gently into the air. It floated toward you. You reached out with both hands. The book settled into your palms. It felt surprisingly warm. Its cover was smooth. Pressed into the leather was the image of a single glowing feather. You slowly opened the first page. There were no printed words. Instead, tiny lights rose from the paper. They floated into the air like little stars. As they drifted around the room, gentle pictures began to appear. A quiet forest beneath moonlight. A winding river shining with silver light. A little fox sleeping beneath a flowering tree. Clouds drifting lazily across a peaceful sky. Nothing moved. Quickly, each scene appeared softly, then faded away like a beautiful dream remembered for only a moment. You turned another page. Warm sunlight resting upon a quiet meadow. A gentle rain falling into a crystal lake. A lantern glowing beside an empty bench. An old bridge crossing a silent stream. Every page became a living memory. It's not loud, not bright, only peaceful. You realized something wonderful. These books were never meant to be read with hurried eyes. They were meant to be quietly experienced. The owl watched with calm satisfaction. It knew you understood. You gently closed the book. It gave a faint golden glow before floating back to its place upon the shelf. The owl removed its tiny spectacles. It tucked them carefully into a little pocket sewn inside its soft, feathered vest. Then it walked toward one final window. You joined it. Far beyond the clouds, countless stars stretched across the endless sky. Among them, one small light moved slowly from star to star. It paused beside each one for a little while, then continued its peaceful journey. The owl followed the tiny light with its eyes. So did you. Neither of you spoke. There would be another story waiting somewhere beneath those quiet stars. But tonight was not yet the time to follow it. Tonight, the cloud library still held many gentle wonders waiting to be discovered. With one final kind glance, the owl turned away from the window. It quietly led you back toward the endless shelves, where the first magical book was patiently waiting to be opened. The white owl walked quietly ahead. Its soft footsteps made no sound upon the polished floor. You followed with slow and peaceful steps. The round room gently faded behind you. Soon you returned to the endless shelves of the cloud library. The warm lanterns still floated through the air. Their gentle light rested upon every book. Nothing had changed. Yet everything somehow felt even more welcoming. The owl led you to a quiet corner of the library. This place felt different. The shelves were shorter. The lanterns glowed a little softer. The air carried the sweet fragrance of fresh blossoms. Tiny white petals drifted slowly through the room. Some floated down from the ceiling. Others seemed to appear from nowhere at all. They settled gently upon the wooden shelves. Then, after a little while, they quietly faded into little points of silver light. The owl stopped before a single bookshelf. Unlike the others, every book here wore shades of green, white, and soft pink. Small flowers had been pressed into each cover. Some were roses. Some were lilies. Some looked like tiny wildflowers growing beside peaceful forest paths. The owl reached toward one book with its wing. The cover was wrapped in pale green cloth. A single white blossom rested upon the front. It looked simple, yet it seemed to glow from within. The owl carefully lifted the book. It floated gently toward you. You accepted it with both hands. The book felt warm. almost as though it had been resting beneath sunlight. You opened the cover. The pages were empty for only a moment. Then little streams of silver light began to flow across the paper. The lights slowly became tiny seeds. Each seed drifted upward. They floated around you like quiet snowflakes. The room disappeared. The library slowly faded into soft white mist. When the mist cleared, you found yourself standing in a peaceful meadow. The grass stretched gently toward the horizon. Countless flowers covered the rolling hills. White flowers, blue flowers, golden flowers, tiny purple blossoms. Every color rested peacefully beneath the moonlight. The breeze moved across the meadow. The flowers swayed together. Not quickly, not slowly, simply following the quiet rhythm of the wind. The sky above was deep blue. The stars shone like scattered diamonds. The moon smiled gently over the peaceful fields. You took a slow breath. The air smelled wonderfully fresh. There was the sweetness of blooming flowers, the freshness of cool grass, the gentle scent of evening, rain resting upon the earth. The meadow felt alive, not with busy movement, but with quiet breathing. Each flower seemed to rest peacefully, as though it were dreaming beneath the stars. A narrow path appeared among the blossoms. It curved gently through the field. You began walking. The flowers leaned softly away from your feet. None were crushed. When you passed, they slowly returned to their place, almost as though they were bowing a quiet greeting. Tiny butterflies floated through the air. Their wings shimmered with silver dust. They moved so gently that they seemed to drift upon invisible waves. One butterfly landed upon a white flower. It rested there for a peaceful moment. Then it quietly continued its journey. Nearby, a family of rabbits slept beneath a flowering tree. Their ears twitched gently as they dreamed. Fireflies drifted lazily through the tall grass. Their tiny lights rose and fell like slow breathing. Everything around you moved with perfect calm. You reached a small hill. At its top stood a single tree. Its branches stretched wide beneath the moon. White blossoms covered every limb. Whenever the breeze touched them, petals floated softly into the night. You sat beneath the tree. The grass felt soft beneath your hands. The trunk was warm against your back. You watched the petals drift across the meadow. Some landed upon the flowers below. Some continued their quiet dance into the sky. One glowing petal settled gently into your hand. It felt wonderfully light. As you looked closer, tiny silver lines appeared upon its surface. They slowly formed a picture. A small flower pushing through the earth. Warm spring rain. Gentle sunlight. The quiet passing of many peaceful days. Then the picture faded. The petal became ordinary once again. You smiled. Every flower carried its own memory. Every blossom remembered the season when it first opened beneath the sky. The meadow was not simply filled with flowers. It was filled with gentle memories. The breeze carried another petal toward you. This one showed a quiet garden beside a little cottage. A child carefully watering tiny blossoms. A wooden bench beneath an old apple tree. Morning sunlight shining through fresh leaves. The picture slowly faded. Another memory quietly returned to the flower that had shared it. You looked around the peaceful meadow. Thousands of flowers surrounded you. Perhaps every one of them held a different story. Not stories of adventure. Not stories of sadness. Only small moments of kindness. Quiet mornings. Gentle evenings. Soft rain. Warm sunshine. Peaceful walks. Simple happiness. The moon climbed a little higher. Its silver light spread across the sea of blossoms. The flowers glowed together. The meadow looked like the night sky resting upon the earth. Far away, you noticed a circle of taller flowers. Their pale petals shone like tiny lanterns. You slowly walked toward them. At the center of the circle rested a crystal bowl. It was filled with clear water. Moonlight danced upon its still surface. A single white blossom floated peacefully in the middle. As you leaned closer, the water became perfectly clear. Instead of your reflection, you saw another peaceful meadow. Another field of flowers. Another quiet night. It seemed that somewhere, far beyond this place, countless flower gardens rested beneath the same gentle moon. The blossom in the bowl slowly opened. A tiny glowing seed rose into the cool night air. It circled the crystal bowl once. Then it drifted quietly toward the distant horizon. You watched until its little light became almost impossible to see. Perhaps it was carrying another gentle memory. Perhaps it was searching for another peaceful garden waiting beneath the stars. The breeze became wonderfully soft. The flowers swayed together once more. You closed your eyes for a slow, peaceful breath. When you opened them again, the meadow slowly began to dissolve into drifting silver petals. The petals rose gently into the air. They circled around you like a quiet farewell. Little by little, the endless field faded away. The warm lantern light of the cloud library returned. The book of flowers rested quietly in your hands. Its cover gave one gentle glow. Then it became still once again. The white owl smiled with peaceful eyes, as though it knew the flowers had shared exactly the story your heart needed tonight. The white owl waited quietly beside you. Its gentle eyes rested upon the book of flowers. For a peaceful moment, neither of you moved. The memory of the moonlit meadow still lingered in your heart. You slowly placed the book back upon its shelf. As soon as your hands let go, the cover gave one soft silver glow. Then it rested peacefully among the others. The owl gave a small and gentle nod. It turned toward another bookshelf nearby. This shelf was different. Its books wore shades of pale blue, soft gray, and quiet silver. Their covers shimmered like calm water beneath the moon. Tiny drops of crystal rested upon each spine. They never fell. They simply sparkled in the warm lantern light. The air around the shelf felt cool and fresh. It carried the clean scent that always follows a gentle rain. The owl carefully lifted one blue book. A single silver raindrop was pressed into its cover. It floated toward you. You welcomed it with both hands. The leather felt smooth. It was cool at first. Then it slowly grew warm. You opened the first page. The paper was empty. Then one tiny drop of water appeared. It rested quietly in the center of the page. Soon another drop joined it. Then another. The drops shimmered like little stars. Without making a sound, they rose into the air. The lanterns faded. The shelves disappeared. The warm wooden floor melted into soft mist. A cool breeze brushed gently across your face. When the mist slowly cleared, you found yourself standing beside a peaceful lake. The water was perfectly still. It reflected every star above. The moon floated upon its surface like a silver lantern. Not even the smallest ripple disturbed its quiet beauty. Tall grasses surrounded the lake. They moved gently with the evening breeze. Their soft whispers blended with the calm night. A little wooden dock stretched into the water. Its weathered boards glowed faintly beneath the moonlight. You walked slowly toward the end of the dock. Each step felt calm. Each breath felt deeper than the last. The cool air carried the fresh scent of rain, waiting somewhere beyond the clouds. You looked toward the sky. Large silver clouds drifted peacefully overhead. They did not hide the moon. Instead, they wrapped around it like a soft blanket. The stars continued to shine between them. The night remained bright and gentle. A single drop of rain landed upon the lake. It made one tiny circle. The circle grew wider. Then it quietly disappeared. Another drop followed. Then another. Soon a gentle rain began to fall. It was the softest rain you had ever seen. Each drop touched the lake with kindness. Tiny circles spread across the water. Thousands of silver rings appeared. They met one another. They blended together. Then they quietly faded away. The rain made no loud sound. It was only a gentle whisper. A peaceful song that seemed to slow every thought inside your mind. You stood beneath the rain. Your clothes did not become wet. The drops felt light, cool. comforting. Each one disappeared into tiny points of silver light before reaching the ground. The lake shimmered beautifully. It looked as though countless little stars had fallen into the water. A family of white ducks drifted slowly across the lake. They left gentle trails behind them. The rain softly erased each trail. The water became perfectly smooth once again. Far across the lake stood a little cottage. Warm golden light shone through its windows. Smoke rose quietly from its stone chimney. Flower boxes rested beneath every window. Their blossoms nodded gently in the rain. A small lantern hung beside the wooden door. Its warm glow welcomed anyone who happened to pass. The sight filled your heart with quiet comfort. You imagined someone inside. Perhaps they were reading beside the fire. Perhaps a warm cup of tea rested upon the table. Perhaps they were listening to the peaceful rain, just as you were now. The rain became slightly steadier, still gentle, still calm. Tiny streams formed beside the grassy path. They wandered toward the lake without hurry. You followed one little stream with your eyes. It curved around smooth stones. It passed beneath tiny ferns. It welcomed fallen leaves and carried them softly along. Nothing struggled against the water. Everything simply traveled together. Nearby stood an old willow tree. Its long branches reached toward the lake. Silver drops gathered upon every leaf. They sparkled beneath the moonlight. Every now and then, one drop quietly slipped into the water below. You walked beneath the willow. The branches swayed gently above your head. The rain became even softer there. The tree seemed to hold the night in its quiet embrace. A wooden bench rested beneath its branches. You sat down. The bench was smooth from many peaceful evenings. The air smelled wonderfully fresh. Rain, grass, wood, the faint sweetness of nearby flow. You closed your eyes for a slow breath. The gentle rain continued. The willow leaves whispered overhead. The lake answered with tiny ripples. Everything around you seemed perfectly balanced. After a little while, you opened your eyes again. The rain had begun to slow. One by one, the clouds drifted gently apart. The moon appeared once more. Its silver light spread across the lake. The tiny drops resting upon every leaf became little mirrors. The whole world shimmered quietly. A rainbow slowly appeared. Not bright, not bold. Only a pale silver rainbow stretching across the peaceful sky. It glowed softly above the lake. Its colors blended gently into the moonlight. You had never seen such a quiet rainbow before. It seemed almost like a dream. As you admired its beauty, a tiny blue bird landed upon the end of the dock. It gave one soft note, then another. Its little song blended perfectly with the last falling drops of rain. The sound was calm, gentle, almost like a lullaby. The bird spread its wings. It flew slowly across the silver lake. The final raindrop fell. The circles upon the water slowly faded. The lake became still once again. You looked down. A single clear raindrop rested upon your hand. Inside that tiny drop, you could see the reflection of the moon, the stars, the willow tree, the peaceful lake. It held the whole quiet night within its gentle heart. The little drop rose into the air. It floated upward like a tiny crystal lantern. Soon it joined countless other glowing drops above the lake. Together, they became a small cloud of silver lights. The cloud drifted peacefully toward the stars. You watched until it disappeared beyond the quiet horizon. The cool breeze slowly became warm once more. The lake faded into soft mist. The willow tree dissolved into drifting silver rain. The dock quietly disappeared beneath your feet. Little by little, the warm golden lanterns of the cloud library returned. The blue book rested peacefully in your hands. Its cover shimmered one final time. Then it became still. The white owl stepped closer. It gently touched the book with the tip of its wing. Carefully, the book floated back onto its shelf. The owl looked at you with kind and peaceful eyes. It seemed to know that every gentle rain carried away a little worry. And every clear night that followed made room for another beautiful dream. The blue book rested quietly upon its shelf. Its silver raindrop shimmered once beneath the lantern light. Then everything became still again. The white owl stood beside you. Its feathers looked softer than ever. Tiny drops of golden light floated lazily through the quiet library. They moved so slowly that they almost seemed to be asleep. The owl looked toward another corner of the library. It gently opened its wings. Without a sound, it glided through the warm light. You followed at an easy pace. The bookshelves slowly became taller once again. Some disappeared into drifting clouds above. Others curved gently around peaceful reading rooms. The lanterns glowed with their familiar warmth. Their soft light rested upon every shelf like moonlight upon calm water. The scent of cedar still filled the air. Now another fragrance quietly joined it. It was the rich scent of moss, fresh pine, gentle earth after evening rain. It reminded you of peaceful walks beneath tall trees. The owl stopped before a beautiful shelf, unlike any you had seen before. Its wood was dark and smooth. Tiny green vines climbed quietly along its sides. Little silver leaves shimmered beneath the lantern light. The books resting there wore shades of deep green, soft brown, warm amber, quiet gray. Some covers carried pressed fern leaves. Others held tiny carved acorns. One beautiful book rested alone in the center. Its cover was wrapped in soft green cloth. Upon it rested the image of a single sleeping tree. The owl carefully lifted the book. It floated toward you. You accepted it with both hands. It felt warm, steady, comforting, almost like holding a little piece of the forest itself. You slowly opened the cover. The pages were silent. Then tiny green lights appeared. They drifted gently upward. One became a glowing leaf, then another. Soon hundreds of glowing leaves circled around you. The library slowly disappeared. The lanterns became distant stars. The bookshelves melted into silver mist. A gentle breeze touched your face. When the mist finally settled, you found yourself standing at the edge of an ancient forest. Tall trees stretched toward the moon. Their branches reached peacefully across the night sky. Silver moonlight rested upon every leaf. The forest felt wonderfully quiet, not empty, simply resting. A narrow path of soft moss welcomed your footsteps. You began walking. The moss felt gentle beneath your feet. It was softer than any carpet. Tiny white flowers bloomed along both sides of the trail. They glowed faintly beneath the moon. Fireflies floated lazily between the branches. Their little lights rose and fell like slow breathing. The air smelled fresh. Pine needles, wildflowers, cool earth. A little stream somewhere deeper within the forest. Every breath filled your heart with calm. The trees stood peacefully together. Their trunks were wide and strong. Some looked older than castles. Some seemed almost as old as the stars themselves. Their bark glowed softly with silver patterns. The patterns slowly shifted like quiet dreams. You placed your hand upon the nearest tree. Its bark felt warm, almost alive. The tree seemed to breathe slowly beneath your fingertips. You smiled. Perhaps every tree dreamed while standing quietly beneath the moon. A gentle breeze wandered through the branches. Thousands of leaves whispered together. The sound was soft, comforting, like distant waves resting upon a peaceful shore. Small forest animals slept nearby. A family of deer rested beneath an old oak tree. Their breathing was slow and peaceful. A tiny hedgehog curled into a round little ball beneath a fern. A fox slept beside a smooth stone. Its silver tail wrapped gently around its body. None of them stirred. The whole forest trusted the quiet night. You continued along the mossy path. Soon you reached a clearing. In the center stood an enormous tree. Its trunk was wider than a little cottage. Its branches stretched high into the stars. Thousands of glowing leaves shimmered gently overhead. Tiny lanterns hung naturally among the branches. No one had placed them there. They seemed to bloom from the tree like golden fruit. The light they gave was warm, soft, peaceful. You stepped beneath the great tree. A wide circle of moss surrounded its roots. It looked like a perfect place to rest. You sat quietly. The ancient tree welcomed you with gentle silence. A single glowing leaf drifted down from above. It landed softly in your lap. As you looked closer, tiny silver lines slowly appeared upon its surface. They became a moving picture. You saw the same great tree many seasons ago. Spring flowers blooming around its roots. Summer birds building peaceful nests. Autumn leaves dancing through golden light. Winter snow resting gently upon every branch. The seasons turned slowly. Again and again. The tree remained patient through them. All. The picture slowly faded. The leaf became ordinary once more. Another leaf floated downward. This one showed a little squirrel planting an acorn beneath the moon. It carefully covered the tiny seed with soft earth. Then it scampered away. Years quietly passed. The little acorn became a young tree. Birds visited its branches. Flowers bloomed nearby. The forest gently grew. The memory faded. Another peaceful story returned to the leaf that carried it. You looked upward. Thousands of leaves rested above your head. Perhaps every leaf held another gentle memory. The dreams of the forest were never forgotten. They simply waited quietly among the branches. A soft glow appeared between the roots of the great tree. Tiny mushrooms began to shine with pale blue light. They formed a winding circle around the trunk. The glow was gentle enough not to disturb the sleeping forest. Nearby, a family of rabbits slowly emerged from the tall grass. They hopped quietly toward a patch of clover. They nibbled a few leaves. Then they settled together beneath a flowering bush. Everything happened without hurry. Everything belonged to the peaceful rhythm of the night. The breeze became cooler. The stars shone even brighter through the branches. High above, an owl called softly from another distant tree. Its gentle voice echoed through the forest only once. Then silence returned. The great tree released another shower of glowing leaves. They drifted slowly around you. Not one touched the ground too quickly. Each leaf floated upon the quiet air, as though it wished to enjoy every peaceful moment of the journey. You closed your eyes. You listened to the forest breathing, the whisper of leaves, the quiet stream, the gentle wind, the calm heartbeat of the ancient woods. For a little while, it became impossible to tell where your own breathing ended and the breathing of the forest began. The peaceful dreams of the trees surrounded you. Warm, safe, endless. When you slowly opened your eyes again, the glowing leaves began to rise instead of fall. They carried tiny points of silver light into the sky. One by one, they disappeared among the stars. The great tree shimmered beneath the moon. It seemed to bow ever so slightly, as though thanking you for spending a quiet evening beneath its ancient branches. The forest slowly dissolved into drifting green light. The moss faded. The flowers became tiny stars. The whispering leaves turned into soft pages. Little by little, the warm lanterns of the cloud library returned. The book of forest dreams rested peacefully in your hands. Its sleeping tree glowed once with a gentle emerald light. Then it became still. The white owl smiled with quiet understanding. Without speaking a single word, it gently returned the book to its place upon the waiting shelf. Somewhere deeper within the library, another peaceful story was already waiting to be opened. The book of forest dreams rested peacefully upon its shelf. Its gentle green glow slowly faded. The library welcomed silence once again. The white owl remained beside you. Its feathers shimmered beneath the warm lantern light. For a little while, neither of you moved. The quiet felt complete. It was the kind of silence that made every breath feel slower. The owl gently turned its head. Far above the endless shelves, another soft light appeared. It was not a lantern. It was not a star. It floated quietly between the clouds that rested near the ceiling. The tiny light drifted downward, slowly, gracefully. When it reached you, it became a small silver feather. The feather circled the owl once. Then it floated toward the highest bookshelf in the room. The owl opened its wings. Without a sound, it rose into the air. You followed along a graceful spiral staircase that wrapped around the towering shelves. The steps were carved from smooth white wood. Silver vines curled along the handrail. Tiny blossoms glowed gently between the leaves. With every step, the library grew quieter. The lanterns became fewer. The moonlight became brighter. At last, you reached the highest gallery. Here the shelves were smaller. Only a handful of books rested upon them. Each one wore a deep midnight blue cover. Fine silver stars were stitched into the cloth. They shimmered softly whenever the moonlight touched them. The owl landed before the largest book. Its cover was as dark as the night sky. At its center rested one beautiful silver star. It did not shine brightly. Its light was gentle, steady, peaceful. The owl carefully lifted the book. It floated toward you. You held it close. The cover felt cool, like smooth stone resting beneath moonlight. You slowly opened the first page. Nothing happened at first. Then a single tiny star appeared upon the paper. It twinkled quietly. Soon another joined it. Then another. Before long, hundreds of tiny stars rose into the air. They circled around you like glowing snowflakes. The library slowly faded away. The shelves disappeared into silver mist. The staircase melted into clouds. Warm lanterns became distant little lights. A cool breeze welcomed you. When the mist cleared, you found yourself standing upon a wide hill above the clouds. The night stretched endlessly around you. The sky was deeper than midnight blue. Countless stars filled every corner above. There were more stars than you had ever imagined. Some shone with silver light. Some glowed softly with gold. Others carried gentle shades of pale blue. Each one seemed peaceful. Each one seemed content, simply shining where it belonged. The clouds below rolled, gently like a calm ocean. Their soft shapes reflected the moonlight. The moon rested quietly above them all. Its silver glow covered the peaceful world. A narrow stone path curved across the hill. Tiny white flowers bloomed beside every step. They opened only beneath the moon. Their petals glowed faintly, like little stars resting upon the earth. You followed the quiet path. A gentle breeze carried the cool scent of the open sky. It felt wonderfully fresh. The hill slowly led you toward a small stone circle. At its center stood an old telescope. Its body was made of polished silver. Tiny stars had been carved along its sides. The telescope rested upon a smooth wooden stand. It looked lovingly cared for, as though someone visited it every peaceful evening. You stepped closer. The telescope slowly turned by itself. It pointed toward one quiet corner of the sky. You gently looked through the eyepiece. The stars became wonderfully close. You could see their gentle light shimmering like tiny lanterns. Some seemed to sway softly, almost as though they were greeting one another across the endless night. One little star slowly brightened. Then another nearby answered with its own warm glow. Neither competed. Neither hurried. They simply shared their quiet light. Farther away, a group of tiny stars formed the shape of a little boat. Another looked like a sleeping rabbit. Another resembled a great flowering tree. You smiled. The sky was quietly filled with familiar shapes. A peaceful reminder that beauty could be found almost anywhere. You stepped away from the telescope. The breeze carried a faint sound. Not music. Not voices. Only the softest hum. It seemed to come from the stars themselves. It rose gently, then faded, like the slow breathing of the night sky. Tiny lights began drifting downward. At first, you thought they were falling stars, but they moved much more slowly. Each little light floated toward the hill. When one landed upon a flower, the blossom glowed a little brighter. When another touched the grass, tiny silver sparkles spread across the ground. One little star drifted toward your hands. It rested gently upon your palm. It felt warm, very light, almost white. HTLS. Inside its gentle glow, you saw a peaceful memory. A child looking through a window at the night sky. A grandmother quietly pointing toward the moon. Two friends sitting beside a calm lake beneath countless stars. A traveler resting after a long and gentle journey. The memory faded slowly. The little star became only warm light once again. You smiled. Perhaps every star carried a quiet memory. Perhaps every peaceful evening ever shared beneath the sky still lived among them. The tiny star floated upward once more. It returned to the heavens, joining countless others waiting above. Nearby stood a small stone bench. You sat down. The smooth stone still held the gentle warmth of the day. You looked upward. There was nothing to hurry toward, nothing to finish. Only the endless beauty of the peaceful sky. Clouds drifted slowly beneath the hill. The moon climbed a little higher. The stars continued their quiet conversation. Time itself seemed to grow sleepy. A white fox quietly appeared at the edge of the hill. Its soft fur shimmered beneath the moonlight. It looked toward the stars, then curled comfortably beside a patch of glowing flowers. Within moments, it had fallen peacefully asleep. You watched it for a while. Its slow breathing matched the gentle rhythm of the breeze. The peaceful feeling spread to your own heart. Far across the sky, one bright star began a slow journey. It did not rush across the heavens. Instead, it drifted from one constellation to another. It paused beside each group of stars. Its light grew just a little warmer every time it stopped. The sight felt strangely familiar. The white owl standing quietly beside you followed the traveling star with calm eyes. It gave the smallest nod, as though it recognized the quiet traveler. You watched until the little star became only a distant point of silver light. Somewhere beyond the endless sky, another gentle story was patiently waiting. But tonight, there was only peace. The hill remained wrapped in moonlight. The flowers swayed softly. The stars continued to shine. One by one, the little lights around you rose back into the heavens. The stone path faded into silver mist. The telescope dissolved into moonlight. The clouds became soft pages, turning quietly in the distance. Slowly, the warm lanterns of the cloud library returned. The great book of quiet stars rested peacefully in your hands. Its silver star glowed one final time. Then it became still. The white owl gently closed the cover with the tip of its wing. Together, you return the book to its quiet place upon the highest shelf. Above the library, beyond the drifting clouds, the stars continued their patient watch over every peaceful dream. The Book of Quiet Stars rested gently upon the highest shelf. Its silver cover reflected the moonlight for one peaceful moment. Then the glow slowly faded. The white owl remained beside you. It looked toward the quiet sky above the shelves. Then it turned and began walking once again. Its small footsteps were almost impossible to hear. You followed at the same calm pace. Together, you left the highest gallery. The spiral staircase curved gently downward. The silver vines along the railing shimmered softly. Tiny blossoms closed their petals, as though they, too, were becoming sleepy. The lanterns below welcomed you with warm, golden light. Their gentle glow rested across every shelf. The library felt quieter now. Perhaps the stories themselves were beginning to dream. The owl led you through a peaceful hallway. Tall windows lined one side. Beyond them, endless clouds drifted beneath the moon. Every now and then, a small star reflected across the glass. The reflections moved slowly, like tiny boats floating across calm water. The scent of old books remained in the air. It mixed with warm cedar, fresh lavender, a little chamomile. The comforting fragrance made every breath feel deeper. Soon the hallway widened. Before you stood a pair of simple white doors. Unlike the grand entrance of the library, these doors held no carvings, no silver vines, no glowing flowers, only smooth white wood. Simple, peaceful. The owl gently touched one door with its wing. Without a sound, both doors slowly opened. A wave of warm air greeted you. It carried the gentle scent of fresh blankets, soft cotton, warm tea, and pages that had been quietly read for many years. You stepped inside. The room felt wonderfully calm. It was not large, yet it somehow felt endless. Rows of comfortable chairs rested beside wide windows. Each chair was covered with thick woven blankets. Soft cushions waited patiently upon every seat. Small wooden tables stood nearby. Upon each table rested a tiny lantern. Its warm golden light never flickered. Bookshelves curved gently around the walls. They were much shorter here. The books seemed carefully chosen. Simple stories, gentle poems, peaceful journeys, quiet memories. Everything in this room invited rest. Nothing asked for attention. Nothing hurried your thoughts. A fireplace rested at the center of the room. Its gentle flames danced slowly. They made almost no sound. The fire gave only warmth, never heat. Above the fireplace hung a simple round clock. There were no numbers, only a silver moon at the top. a little golden star at the bottom. Its hands moved so slowly that time itself seemed ready for sleep. The owl flew quietly to a nearby chair. It settled onto a soft cushion. Then it closed its eyes for just a moment. When it opened them again, they seemed even gentler than before. You smiled. Even the guardian of the library enjoyed resting here. You chose a chair beside one of the tall windows. The blanket felt wonderfully soft. You wrapped it gently around your shoulders. Warmth spread through your arms. Your breathing became slower. Outside, clouds drifted lazily beneath the moon. Far below, silver rivers wound peacefully through sleeping forests. Tiny villages glowed with scattered lanterns. Everything looked quiet. Everything looked safe. You noticed a small teapot resting upon the nearby table. Thin curls of steam rose gently from its spout. Beside it waited a simple white cup. You carefully poured a little tea. The fragrance rose softly. Chamomile, honey, a hint of wildflowers. The cup felt warm in your hands. You took one slow sip. The tea was gentle, comforting. It seemed to warm not only your hands, but your thoughts as well. The owl watched quietly. Then it gave one small nod, as though it approved of taking time to rest. A little while later, another visitor entered the reading room. An old tortoise walked slowly through the doorway. Its shell shimmered with soft silver patterns. A tiny lantern hung from one side of its shell. The warm light swayed gently as it walked. The tortoise carried a single book beneath one arm. It smiled kindly toward the owl. The owl answered with a gentle bow. No words were exchanged. None were needed. The tortoise chose a chair near the fireplace. It carefully opened its book. Soon it was quietly reading beneath the warm golden light. After a few moments, a small white rabbit appeared. It wore a tiny blue scarf around its neck. In its little paws rested a book no bigger than a leaf. The rabbit climbed onto a comfortable cushion. It curled into a round little shape. Within moments, its eyes slowly closed. The book slipped gently onto the blanket beside it. Apparently, even reading a peaceful story could become the perfect invitation for sleep. You smiled softly. The room welcomed everyone in its own gentle way. Some came to read. Some came tea. Oh, dream. Some simply came to rest beneath the warm lanterns. The fireplace continued its quiet dance. The clock continued its slow journey. Outside, the moon climbed a little higher into the sky. Clouds drifted across its silver light. Tiny stars appeared and disappeared between them. Everything moved with the same calm rhythm. You opened one of the books resting upon your table. Its pages were wonderfully smooth. The words were simple, gentle, easy to follow. They spoke of quiet rivers, blooming gardens, warm evenings beneath old trees. As you turned each page, tiny painted illustrations softly shimmered. A lantern beside a bridge, a bird sleeping beneath a branch, wildflowers opening beneath moonlight. Each picture glowed for only a moment, then quietly settled back into the page. You found yourself reading more slowly. Sometimes you paused between pages. Sometimes you simply looked out the window. The clouds were enough. The moon was enough. The silence was enough. There was nothing else you needed. The little rabbit continued sleeping peacefully. The old tortoise slowly turned another page. The owl rested quietly nearby. Even the lantern flames seemed to breathe. You leaned back into the soft chair. The blanket wrapped comfortably around you. The warmth of the tea remained in your hands. Outside, a gentle breeze carried silver clouds across the endless night. Inside, the silent reading room held every visitor in perfect peace. It felt less like a room, and more like a quiet pause between one beautiful dream and the next. The silent reading room remained wonderfully still. The little rabbit continued sleeping beneath its soft blue scarf. The old tortoise quietly turned another page. The white owl rested peacefully upon its cushion. The fire glowed with gentle warmth. Its golden light danced softly across the wooden floor. You remained wrapped inside the warm blanket. For a little while, you simply listened. The quiet crackle of the fire, the slow breathing of the room, the faint whisper of pages turning somewhere nearby. Everything seemed to move together, like one peaceful lullaby. The owl slowly opened its eyes. It looked toward the far side of the room. There, beside the tallest bookshelf, rested a narrow wooden door. Unlike the others, this door carried a single silver star carved into its center. The owl stepped down from its chair. It walked quietly toward the little door. Then it looked back at you. Its kind eyes offered another gentle invitation. You rose slowly. The blanket slipped softly from your shoulders. You folded it neatly across the chair. The warm cup of tea remained upon the table. A little curl of steam still drifted upward. You smiled toward the sleeping rabbit. The old tortoise gave a tiny nod without looking away from its book. The room wished you a peaceful farewell. You followed the owl. The little wooden door opened without a sound. Beyond it waited a quiet stone passage. Small lanterns rested inside little arches along the wall. Their warm glow gently guided every step. The passage curved upward, very slowly, very gently. The air became cooler. The scent of books slowly faded. Fresh night air quietly took its place. You continued climbing. The stone beneath your feet became smoother. Silver vines climbed along the walls. Tiny white flowers bloomed between the leaves. They seemed to open as you passed, then quietly closed again behind you. At last, the passage came to an end. Before you stood another simple door. This one was made of polished white wood. A crescent moon had been carved near its top. The owl gently touched the door with one wing. It slowly opened. A cool breeze welcomed you. You stepped outside. For a peaceful moment, you simply stood still. Before you stretched a wide balcony floating high above the clouds. Its smooth white floor reflected the moonlight. Silver railings curved gracefully around the edge. Flower boxes rested along both sides. They overflowed with glowing night blossoms. Their gentle fragrance drifted through the cool air. Above you, the stars filled every corner of the sky. Below you, the clouds rolled softly like an endless sea. The moon rested quietly above them all. Its silver light painted gentle paths across the clouds. The balcony felt wonderfully peaceful. A pair of wooden benches rested near the railing. Their cushions looked soft and inviting. The owl flew quietly onto one bench. It folded its wings neatly beside its body. You joined it. The cushion welcomed you with gentle warmth. You rested your hands upon the smooth wooden armrest. A cool breeze brushed softly across your face. It carried the scent of distant forests. Fresh rain. Wildflowers blooming somewhere far below. You closed your eyes for a slow breath. When you opened them again, the view somehow felt even more beautiful. Far beneath the clouds, tiny rivers shimmered like silver ribbons. Sleeping forests stretched across quiet valleys. Little villages glowed with warm lanterns. Every light looked peaceful. Every home looked safe. The whole world seemed wrapped in gentle dreams. A few clouds drifted slowly past the balcony. They were so close that you could almost touch them. One cloud curled into the shape of a swan. Another looked like a tiny sailing boat. A third resembled a sleeping bear. You watched them drift quietly across the moonlit sky. There was no hurry. There was nowhere they needed to be. Tiny glowing petals floated upward from the flower boxes. Instead of falling, they rose gently into the night. Each petal shimmered with silver light. They joined the stars one by one. It was impossible to tell where flowers ended and stars began. The owl quietly looked toward the distant horizon. You followed its gaze. At first, you saw only endless stars. Then, very far away, one tiny golden light slowly appeared. It was much smaller than the moon, softer than the stars around it. The little light moved gently across the heavens. It stopped beside one quiet star. Its glow became slightly warmer. Then it continued onward. Slowly, patiently. from one star to another. You watched in peaceful silence. The tiny traveler never hurried. It seemed to visit each star as though greeting an old friend. Sometimes it paused for a little while, sometimes only for a moment. Then it drifted onward again. The owl smiled softly. It watched the distant light with quiet familiarity. Perhaps it had seen this peaceful traveler many times before. You wondered who might be carrying that tiny lantern. Someone kind, someone patient, someone who loved the quiet night as much as you did. The little golden light became smaller, then brighter again. It continued its gentle journey among the stars. You knew you would not follow it tonight. Tonight belonged to the cloud library. But somewhere beyond the endless sky, another peaceful place was waiting. Another gentle story had already begun. The breeze became softer. The stars seemed to shine a little closer. The moonlight rested upon the balcony like a silver blanket. The flower boxes swayed gently. Their blossoms slowly folded their petals. One by one, they settled into sleep. The owl quietly closed its eyes. Its breathing became slow and peaceful. You leaned comfortably against the bench. Your thoughts grew lighter. Your eyelids felt pleasantly heavy. The clouds below drifted without end. The stars watched over the silent night. The tiny golden traveler continued visiting distant lights across the heavens. Its little lantern grew fainter, then smaller still, until it became only another peaceful star among countless others. You smiled. Perhaps one evening, another quiet journey would lead you there. But not tonight. Tonight, the Cloud Library had given you everything it wished to share. Warm stories, gentle memories, moonlit flowers, peaceful rain, dreaming forests, quiet stars. You carried them all gently within your heart. The owl slowly opened its eyes once more. It looked toward the warm windows of the library. Their golden light glowed softly behind you. With one quiet nod, the owl stood. And together, you rose from the bench. One last look lingered upon the endless sky. One last slow breath welcomed the cool night air. Then, side by side, you quietly walked back toward the waiting lantern light. Beyond the peaceful balcony, the final pages of tonight's gentle journey were waiting to be turned. The warm light of the library welcomed you once again. The little balcony slowly disappeared behind you. The cool night breeze became soft and gentle. The familiar scent of cedar and old books filled the air. The white owl walked quietly beside you. Its peaceful footsteps echoed ever so softly along the wooden floor. The library felt different now. Not because anything had changed, but because the night had grown deeper. The lanterns glowed with an even softer light. The floating lights moved more slowly than before. The bookshelves stood in perfect silence. It was almost as though every story inside them had become sleepy. You followed the owl through one final hallway. The windows reflected the moon. Silver clouds drifted lazily across the glass. Some stars still sparkled beyond them. Others slowly disappeared behind quiet ribbons of mist. The owl stopped beside a long wooden table. Several books rested neatly upon its smooth surface. Their covers glowed faintly beneath the lantern light. You recognized them at once. The Book of Flowers, the Book of Rain, the Book of Forest Dreams, the Book of Quiet Stars. Each one rested exactly where it belonged. The owl climbed onto the table. It gently brushed a wing across the first book. The cover slowly closed by itself. A soft golden glow shimmered around its edges. Then it quietly faded. The owl moved to the second book. Its silver raindrop sparkled for a single peaceful moment. Then the pages closed with the gentlest whisper. Next came the Book of Forest Dreams. Tiny green lights floated upward from its cover. They drifted toward the ceiling, then quietly disappeared among the lanterns. Finally, the owl reached the Book of Quiet Stars. The silver star upon its cover shone softly. Its light reflected across the polished wood. The owl lowered its head. With great care, it closed the final page. The silver light slowly faded. The room became wonderfully still. You realized something beautiful. The books were not simply closing. They were resting. Just as flowers closed their petals at night. Just as birds tucked their heads beneath their wings. Just as the quiet forest slept beneath the moon. Every story deserved peaceful rest before another dreamer opened it again. The owl looked toward the nearest lantern. Without touching it, the lantern gently became a little dimmer. Then another lantern softened its glow. Then another. One by one, the warm lights throughout the library grew quieter. None of them went dark. They simply rested beneath a softer golden light. The shadows became gentle. The shelves looked warmer than ever. It felt as though the whole library had wrapped itself in a comfortable blanket. You continued walking together. The endless bookshelves no longer seemed endless. Instead, they felt like old friends quietly wishing you good night. As you passed, a few books gave tiny silver glows. One little sparkle here, another farther away. Almost as though they were smiling before falling asleep. The floating ladders slowly drifted back to their places. The little stairways folded themselves neatly beside the shelves. The tiny lights that had danced between the books now settled gently upon the highest corners. There they rested like little stars, waiting for tomorrow evening. The great clock with the silver moon still moved quietly. Its hands had traveled only a little. Time seemed wonderfully unhurried inside the cloud library. The white owl stopped beside the grand map you had seen earlier. Its silver paths still connected every peaceful place. The moon garden glowed gently. The lighthouse that guided lost dreams shimmered beside the sea. The cloud library rested peacefully among the stars. Far away, another tiny light quietly flickered. The star collector. Its gentle glow seemed a little brighter now. Only for a moment. Then it became calm once again. The owl looked toward the little light. Then it looked at you. Its kind eyes held a quiet promise. There would be another gentle journey one day. But there was no need to think about tomorrow tonight. Tonight was enough. The owl carefully rolled the great map closed. A silver ribbon wrapped itself neatly around it. The map gave one final shimmer, then rested quietly upon its wooden stand. Nearby, the little feather pen gently settled into its holder. The bottle of moonlit ink became perfectly still. Tiny silver keys quietly returned to their velvet drawer. The drawer closed without a sound. Everything inside the library seemed to know that bedtime had arrived. A peaceful hush settled over every room. The fireplace in the silent reading room became a little smaller. Its warm glow remained. Its gentle comfort never faded. The little rabbit still slept beneath its blue scarf. The old tortoise had closed its book. It rested peacefully in the comfortable chair. The blanket had slipped gently across its lap. The owl smiled kindly at its quiet friends. Then it continued onward. You followed one last time. The hallway opened into the great entrance hall. The tall golden doors stood peacefully beneath the moonlight. Silver vines climbed around the white stone arch. Tiny blossoms had folded their petals for the night. The silver bells above the doorway rested without a sound. Outside, the clouds drifted slowly beneath the stars. The same peaceful path that had welcomed you earlier now waited quietly once again. You turned for one last look at the great library. Its towers reached gently into the night. Warm golden windows glowed through the drifting mist. It looked less like a building now, and more like a gentle dream floating peacefully above the world. The white owl stood beside the open doorway. It bowed slowly, not to say goodbye forever, only until another quiet evening. You returned the bow with a warm smile. The library had shared its stories, its memories, its peaceful silence. Now it was time to let them rest. Behind you, the lanterns continued their gentle glow. Ahead, the moonlit clouds stretched endlessly across the quiet sky. The night wrapped everything in calm. And somewhere beyond the silver horizon, sleep was drawing ever closer. The white owl remained beside the open doorway. Its gentle eyes reflected the quiet moon. For a peaceful moment, neither of you moved. The clouds drifted softly below. The stars watched over the sleeping world. The warm light from the library rested gently behind you. It felt comforting, like the glow from a welcoming home at the end of a quiet evening. The owl stepped closer. It softly brushed one wing against your hand. The touch was light, almost like a feather carried by the breeze. Then the owl looked toward the cloud path. It was time to begin the gentle journey home. You took one slow step, then another. The clouds welcomed every footstep. They were just as soft as before. The golden lanterns along the path still glowed peacefully. Their warm light mixed with the silver moonlight. Together, they painted the clouds with quiet colors. The great doors of the cloud library remained open behind you. For one last moment, you looked back. The tall towers stood among the drifting clouds. Their windows glowed softly beneath the stars. The silver vines climbed peacefully around the white stone walls. Tiny flowers rested quietly in the cool night air. The library looked almost as though it were floating inside a beautiful dream. The owl gave one final gentle bow. Then it quietly spread its wings. Without making a sound, it rose into the moonlit sky. It circled above the library once. Its white feathers shimmered like silver light. Then it returned to its favorite place, high above the entrance. There it watched peacefully as you continued your journey. You smiled softly. Although you were leaving, you never truly felt alone. You knew the cloud library would always be waiting. Patiently, peacefully, just beyond the clouds. The lanterns slowly became fewer. The path grew quieter. The night seemed deeper now. The breeze brushed gently across your face. It carried the familiar scents of cedar, lavender, wildflowers, fresh rain, and the comforting fragrance of old books. You breathed in slowly. The peaceful memories of the evening filled your heart. The meadow of glowing flowers, the gentle rain upon the quiet lake, the ancient forest dreaming beneath the moon, the endless sky filled with patient stars. Each memory rested softly within you. None of them asked to be remembered. They simply remained, like quiet little lights shining deep inside your heart. Far ahead, the clouds slowly opened. The moonlight poured gently across the sky. A long silver path stretched toward the distant horizon. It looked wonderfully calm. You continued walking. The clouds beneath your feet slowly became lighter, almost transparent, as though they were made from moonlight itself. The stars seemed closer now. Some sparkled softly overhead. Others reflected upon the clouds below. It became difficult to tell where the sky ended or where the clouds began. Everything blended together. Everything belonged to the same peaceful dream. A tiny glowing feather drifted down from above. It floated slowly beside you. Then another appeared. Soon dozens of silver feathers danced quietly through the night. They circled gently in the breeze. None touched the ground. They simply drifted wherever the night wished to carry them. One feather settled briefly upon your shoulder. It felt wonderfully light. Then it floated upward again, joining the others among the stars. The world grew even quieter. Your footsteps became slower. Your breathing became deeper. Your eyelids felt pleasantly heavy. There was nothing more you needed to see. Nothing more you needed to do. The night had already given you everything it wished to share. Far beyond the clouds, one tiny golden light appeared once again. You recognized it immediately. It moved gently from star to star, never rushing, never stopping for very long. Its little lantern glowed warmly against the deep blue sky. You watched peacefully. The little traveler paused beside one bright star. Its lantern became slightly brighter. Then it continued onward. Slowly, gracefully. The tiny light grew smaller. Yet somehow it never disappeared. It simply became another peaceful part of the endless night. Perhaps one evening, you would quietly follow that gentle traveler. Perhaps another peaceful path would open among the stars. Perhaps another beautiful story would be waiting there. But not tonight. Tonight was for resting. Tonight was for gentle dreams. The clouds beneath your feet slowly became soft mist. The lanterns faded into warm little stars. The moonlight wrapped gently around everything. The breeze became quieter still. The sounds of the world drifted farther away. Only your slow breathing remained. Only the peaceful rhythm of the night. Little by little, the stars became softer. The clouds became lighter. The moon became a gentle glow behind your closed eyes. You felt safe. You felt warm. You felt wonderfully calm. The quiet journey slowly became a beautiful dream. And the beautiful dream slowly became peaceful sleep. Asleep peacefully. Asleep deeply. Asleep gently. Until the morning finds you. Good night. Sweet dreams. And somewhere beyond the quiet clouds, beneath a sky filled with patient stars, a gentle traveler continued carrying a warm little lantern from one star to the next. Perhaps, on another peaceful evening, that quiet light would lead us to meet the star collector. Until then, may every gentle dream find its way safely to you.